I thought green men on, red men off.
Well, see the red light around the room?
Yeah. Say, well, that's highly technical in our world. All cops know red means stop, or go through it in our case. Madam Mayor, good morning. Thank you for hosting us. We'll let you get us started.
Happy to have you here. Thank you for everyone taking the time to attend. We always look forward to hearing what is going on in our city from a law enforcement perspective, and hopefully not too much.
We are honoring our method, our motto of the Barry's the safest city in Volusia County. Of course, I'll be getting hate mails from the other cities, but hey, they can't have it all.
They can step up their game.
There you go. There you go. So, Omar, you want to introduce yourself and we'll get started?
Yeah, good morning, everyone. Captain Omar McKnight and the captain here in DeBerry. Since the last time we were here, we have a newly assigned lieutenant to the district. It is Cameron Tucker. He's been here as a deputy, a detective, and as a CID sergeant. So we're happy to have him here. He brings a lot of good things to the city, and I think this is going to be a good partnership here with us. Since the last time we met, we've done some good things as far as traffic goes. We had a traffic op that was last month on the 25th of October. We were here with County Motors and our motor unit, and in a 5-hour time period, we wrote 85 tickets after 93 traffic stops in 5 hours. For the month, we've done, this includes our motor unit and our patrol guys, we've done 682 traffic stops in the city. Of those 682, we've written 425 citations, 138 written warnings, and we've investigated 40 motor vehicle crashes. So to say, traffic is obviously important in every area. We've really taken ownership of ensuring our citizens are safe and making that a priority for us. Before we get into the crime?
Go ahead.
All right. As far as crime goes for the month, this period is for October of 2023. First crime we have up was a disturbance between a mother and an autistic child. I got to tell you, we spent a lot of time, a lot of resources at this house during this call. The sergeant that was on scene, Sergeant Tim Maxwell, did an excellent job communicating with this 15-year-old child. And when I say child, he's, 6 foot, almost 300 pounds. So eventually we had to make the decision that he was going to be taken into custody. There was some kind of scuffle between him and us. We ended up getting him into custody, and he was uninjured, and he ended up going to jail that night, going to the FRC. So hopefully we'll get him some help, and we've been in contact with the family since then. As far as domestic violence cases, we had 11 domestic violence cases for the month, and all 11 were cleared by arrest. It takes us down to we had a simple assault, 1044 Spring Break Avenue in Orange City. This was a disturbance between pretty much kids. We have a 15-year-old victim that got into a fight with 3 other juveniles. Through investigation, we ended up identifying all 3 of them and cleared by arrest ×3. We have a stalking case from 175 Integra Reserve. This is domestic violence related. Our CID picked up this case and they're looking into it.
We've sent off the subpoenas for the Instagram accounts where photos were sent off, and also email accounts that were sent to the victim's place of employment. So we're just waiting on those subpoenas to return. And we've already interviewed the suspect. He travels between 3 different states right now, so we're waiting on the information to come back to file the charge.
You said this was a misdemeanor charge is what it's going to be, not a felony.
Correct, yes, sir.
Okay.
As far as property, we're going to go into property crimes now. We have a burglary. This was from 2500 North Volusia in Orange City. Our witness found the suspect dragging a generator near a wood line. When the suspect was contacted by the witness, he dropped the generator and took off and got into a silver 4-door passenger vehicle, and this was turned over to detectives.
The generator was processed, and one single fingerprint was lifted from the generator, so we're waiting to hear back from our latent print unit on that, on the print. We do have a person of interest. He's not a suspect at this time, but he is from Lake County, and he has been committing crimes in this area, so we're looking at him very hard for this, and we got some other legal processes out we're waiting on to come back.
The good thing is he's in custody right now, so he can't be doing any pilfering.
Correct. He's in custody on our warrant, and Lake County also has charges on him from some cases they're working, and the one for the warrant was a stolen motorcycle out of DeLand. So once he's extradited back, we have a case with him on another one.
And then we have our last burglary for the period. This was at 681 Brackenberry Street. This is in the Rivington subdivision. This is in the portion that's under construction, and the suspects went into the area and stole copper wire from the air conditioning unit while it was under construction. We went and drove that area, and this particular spot where it was stolen is off the beaten path. It's not in where everything was, where people are living. All these houses here are under construction, so it is a very difficult area to patrol, because citizens in the area will tell us when there's suspects in the area, when there's something that doesn't look right, and there's just nobody living there. So we're looking at some technology we can put in the area and some camera things we can do, but as of now, this was turned over to detectives for further investigation.
We canvassed the area and talked to some of the construction workers. Nobody noticed anything out of the ordinary. There was no fingerprints collected, so that one we have nothing on, so it's been suspended until we get further information on it.
We'll go down to the motor vehicle theft. This was 1175 3rd Street in Orange City. This was a 2005 Suzuki motorcycle that was stolen from a carport. This vehicle was actually recovered over in Lake County, and this was turned over to detectives.
This is the gentleman we spoke about from the generator case. We had a warrant out of DeLand for him for another stolen motorcycle, and when Lake County went and picked him up on that warrant, this stolen motorcycle was in the wooded area near his home. We've done other things, and we've got probable cause to arrest and charge him. We're just waiting for him to be extradited back to Volusia County.
And this guy's CH is 25 and 6 on felonies and 11 and 5 on misdemeanors, so he's not a newcomer here.
Yeah, and he's only 24 years old, so.
He's got a long way to go.
We have a theft from a motor vehicle. This was a car break attempt only. Unknown suspects tried to make entry into two vehicles in the driveway of 1885 20th Street in Orange City. Luckily, the vehicles were locked and no entry was made. Detectives have this case as well.
We were able to get video surveillance. The victims in this case actually have video that showed the suspect, but unfortunately, all we can determine that it was a white male. There was no other distinguishing features about him that we could identify. Fingerprints were collected, but they were of no value. So at this time, the case has been suspended.
Our last car break is at the Winn-Dixie here in DeBary. The victim pulled into the Winn-Dixie parking lot on a motorcycle, and when he came back out, he noticed his motorcycle jacket was missing from the saddlebag. There is video from the parking lot. It doesn't really show specifically the motorcycle itself, but nobody was seen coming or going carrying a jacket. At this time, we have to eat the stat as far as a car break. However, I don't believe that it actually happened. There may have fallen out, or we don't know, but we have to eat the stat for this. But there are no leads in this case other than the video we have. We have no suspects in this case. This was suspended. And then we have, the last case we have is an indecent exposure in Orange City. A 17-year-old exposed himself to two females, and that was cleared by arrest.
Michael, you want to touch on narcotics?
Sure. As far as ODs go, oh, sorry. Sorry about that. Good morning.
Good morning.
As far as for the city of DeBary, OD, our deaths right now are at 4, which is where we were at for last year. So far, we've given 30 doses of Narcan this year, with everyone surviving. So if we don't have any more deaths this year, we'll be the same as last year. From years past, though, they are down compared to where we were a few years ago. Narcotics investigations, we've done search warrants in the city of DeBary. I'm not at liberty to talk to them, especially in a public forum, because there's still ongoing investigations, and there's definitely more to come before the end of the year. So we are moving forward. We're buying narcotics from Orange City mostly, but there are houses in DeBary that we're looking at that have active investigations right now, several to be in fact. So that's a continuing effort for narcotics. As far as that, we'll keep you updated as things progress. So.
You want to touch base, who wants to touch base real quick on the overdose task force?
Cool, sure.
Good.
So we've recently started an overdose task force. The unit is comprised of detectives from our criminal investigations unit as well as the narcotics unit. We've combined them together. Our primary goal is to target drug dealers who are selling lethal doses of fentanyl, heroin, narcotics. So how that happens is we'll get an overdose case, we'll adopt the case, we'll investigate it from like the death investigation side, but as well as the narcotics side. It allows us to target specific dealers who are selling these doses. So far, our first 2 cases have resulted in arrests. We've been able to recover trafficking amounts of heroin, methamphetamine, and things like that. So it's a collective effort. Depending on what side of the county that the case is, our unit will adopt it, and then we'll work with that narcotics unit to help us work through it, use their contacts, their resources, because they're plugged in with that community. So far it's been very, very successful. We're also working with the Volusia Recovery Alliance, who's a nonprofit, and their focus is on recovery. So they're basically like a personal caseworker for people that are, searching for help. So any of the cases that we have, we reach out to the family members, the surviving victims as well, and we give them those resources and referrals.
Thank you, Chad. Carla, a lot going on with the juveniles, especially that we are now drug testing some of them, and what's coming up?
Good morning, I'm Director Carla Kwan for juveniles. We are drug testing juveniles, and sadly, our kids are testing for alcohol, amphetamines, marijuana, cocaine, fentanyl, meth, and morphine. So we are seeing that in our juvenile systems. In talking with some of the youth, they don't realize that this is in the drug. They're buying vapes, and once they hit the vape, they get a different feeling. So that's the only thing they can tell us. But they're buying the vapes off the black market, the corner store. So as the drug force task force can tell you, it's coming in, and they're just selling it on the counter, So.
Violent crime, you want to talk about that?
I have a quick question.
Good.
If they're selling it at the corner store, do we have any information whether there are corner stores in DeBerry that are among those that are sources?
Michael?
There are. We've done operations in the past where we send in an underage deputy who's not 21 who can't buy this legally. So DeBerry has been worked in the past. Normally when we do these operations, we include DeBerry in this area, and there are going to be coming more before the end of the year. We're going to do another operation. So, and DeBerry, we will hit several stores here. So if there's any on your radar that you want to let me know of, we can approach that as well. But.
Fortunately, I don't know of any, but I was just asking to make sure because I know that Carl is reporting on stats for the county as a whole.
Right, yeah. And this will be a huge effort from West Volusia to Deltona as well, so.
And we just did one, and I can't remember the stats. I don't know if you're going to remember it off the top of your head.
I don't have them with me. I can get them for you. But we did one, it was about 2.5, 3 months ago, and there's going to be another one before the end of the year.
If we can, let's send the results to the city manager so you can share them.
Okay.
To see, because that was a big effort.
Yes, sir.
For that. Carla, you want to talk about?
Well, I was just going to go back to Madam Mayor.
Go ahead.
Madam Mayor, I can tell you, yes, we are arresting kids that attend University High and River Springs Middle for vapes, and the vapes are testing for THC oil. So yes, could be your residents because they are going to the high school and the middle school. So it is out there. As far as violent crime, there's no violent crime in your area, and I can tell you, since the school year, River Springs Middle School has an Orange City police officer as an SRO, and in the first quarter of the year, the incidents are down 25%. So having a school resource officer on campus has definitely made a difference in the calls and services that we were getting before.
And university, is the trend also down? University has had an officer before.
Yeah, university's had an officer
Right.
for years, so
Right, but is the trend down this year or up this year or stable?
we didn't look at that.
University has a guardian and a deputy on campus. All the high schools have 2.
right? And one came from our DeBerry staff this year. So I was just curious. I know that he went in looking to keep an eye out for people he had interacted with here in town.
Well, we did have last month Bring a Knife to School Day, and nobody told us that. And they had the kid that was stabbed in the face in the bathroom, and then the next 2 days we seized people with knives. So, I don't, where were we at? I don't know, Lieutenant, can you answer this one? Where are we at with weapons seized so far in schools?
I don't have that information.
You know, I know, I think it was 86. Going off the top of my head, I think it was 86 total last year. This year, we've already seized half of that amount, and we're not even into 2024 yet. So, you want to talk about the law change that we're going to try, the Sheriff's Association is trying to work on with the guns and the violence with the juveniles?
Oh, yeah. So I recently attended some legislative summits in Tallahassee, and one of the big topics, as we all know, we've experienced juvenile crime. So right now, as it stands, with our violent juveniles, we put them in DJJ, and in 21 days, they're back out in the street. They know how to play the game. So what they're looking to do is put the onus back on the judges to justify why they want to release that child. So instead of every 21 days having to do an order, that kid, there's a preemption, the kid would stay in custody. The judge would actually have to explain to everyone why it is that he or she thinks that child should be released. We don't think judges are going to do that. So that's kind of where we're at. I think that's going to fix a lot of things overnight with a stroke of a pen. It'll keep people safe. Some of these kids, they don't need to be out walking the streets. We know that. So if they can stay in custody until their version of a trial, I think it's going to make things a lot safer for everybody.
You get a kid, an example is you get a group of kids who have no prior criminal history, go out, break into 10 cars in DeBarry, steal 2 firearms, and then use one of those firearms to commit a robbery. They don't score high enough because it's their first offense to be held in secure custody. And our position from the law enforcement side and the prosecutor's office is that's BS. You know, you need to be held and held accountable for that act. So we're looking forward to that as well. Anything else you want to hit on your juveniles? You want to talk about maybe the mayor would be a really good conduit for Christmas in DeBarry?
This year, the community is partnering with the Sheriff's Office, and we're going to have our annual Sheriff's Holiday Program, which is both shop with a deputy and deputy toy shops where we go around to the community and give out toys to needy families. The deputies are, looking through the neighborhood where they patrol, and we're going to help families this year. We know that this is going to be a tough year. So if anyone would like to make donations towards that, we do accept donations at the Family Resource Center, and we are part of the Sheriff's Youth Foundation, which is a nonprofit arm for those who are looking for a tax donation.
So if you have anybody, families that your commission knows, your employees know, the city manager knows, refer them to us if you can. That's really the ask. If you have families and you're like, hey, these families can really use help, let us know. Because we've got our victims advocate has gone through to look for victims' families that are going to need help. So we've hit that curve.
I know that's been active in Deltona for quite some time, and they have, of course, a broader base of need, but I think there may be families in DeBarry that could benefit as well. And I like to see the community and law enforcement interaction in a positive sense, which this brings every year, but hasn't been particularly centered in our community.
Tim, you want to hit live 911?
How's we're doing? I'm Division Chief Morgan. I run the law enforcement operations for the Sheriff's Department. We are getting some new technology. It should go live here next week, finishing up some training. It's called Live 911. And the great thing about Live 911 is that deputies, while riding around in their patrol cars, will actually hear the 911 call come in. So in their car, they'll hear people just got robbed, the guy's wearing a black shirt, they'll hear it live, which actually will cut time off of response if they're in that area. There's many success stories that when we researched this out of Polk County, where a deputy was on scene and saved a baby that was choking before it was even dispatched. So that's how big of a game changer this is. Once again, the Sheriff's Office is leveraging all technology and anything that helps us get a jump on the bad guys.
Paul, speaking of technology, you want to talk about what we're doing with gun violence?
Paul Cameron, captain over investigative services, which includes detectives, forensic services. That would be a crime scene, lane print unit. Twofold, we have NIBIN, which just went live on Monday, which is the National Integrated Ballistic Information Network. And basically what that does is it's an automation of evaluation of ballistic evidence. Any types of shell casings or gun crime evidence that are found at scenes. Historically, we would submit that evidence to the Florida Department of Law Enforcement, and it would take months upon months for us to get some type of feedback. Not to fault of their own, just because of the volume of the information coming in from the state. Just this Monday, we went live with ATF with our own system, where we're now processing all our gun crime evidence in-house. So now we'll receive results within 24 or 48 hours. Just for statistical purposes, we're one of 73 agencies within the nation now that submits directly to ATF.
You want to talk about Raven real quick? What we're doing in the land?
Yep. We also recently went live with Raven, which is gunshot detection over in the DeLand Spring Hill area. There's some 70, 80 different detectors spread out, and it geo-coordinates the gunshots to a specific location. So if a gunshot goes off and somebody doesn't call it in, this will notify our crime center and then dispatch, which then can send somebody GPS coordinates, and the deputy will be there within minutes. We've already had, since Monday, we've had gunshots recovered and then put into NIBIN.
It really is. These guys did a great job putting that whole strategy together for the second half of the year.
I'm hopeful we don't need Raven here.
So
in DeBary.
are we. So are we.
Spring Hill, I think it's a wonderful addition to the tools.
Eric, I'm going to throw you under the bus. You want to talk about the academy, what's about to happen in the academy, and how we're doing with recruiting since we've took over our own ability to do things? There you go. Red light's on. We're good.
Good morning. Eric Egan. I'm the Training Academy Commander. We're in the process of being nationally accredited through CALIA as a training academy. We would be the third in the state that is nationally accredited in Florida. The Sheriff's Office is already nationally accredited, along with our communications center, so we would be triple accredited, yes. We just started a new class this Monday with 15 new recruits. Next month, December 4th, we've got 9, possibly 10. We're actually processing one last person, but new deputies, so they already have experience. We've got some from out of state, some from in-state, so we're really making a huge impact on some of our vacancies within the agency. I've got a phenomenal staff that does an awesome job, and we're full steam ahead.
I think for us, and for the folks who have been here, and they're old and have been here a long time, this is probably the first time in over a decade that we can say we are quote unquote fully staffed at 502 deputies, and a lot of that has to go with the academy, the recruitment. We have stolen 2 people from Prince George's County, Maryland, so that you know. Those young guys came down here on vacation and stayed, so that's been pretty good.
We raised the kids in Prince George's County.
There you go. There you go. So that is an initiative that we started back in 2001 with over 80 vacancies, and by the early spring we will be completely full as you can be, because we have people that bail. We hire people and they leave. We just had a helicopter pilot leave, and just had a kid from Philly that we hired leave to go to Orlando because he said DeBary was too slow. He was assigned to DeBary. He wanted to go to work in the Paramore section of Orlando, so we were like, okay, have a good time with that. So thanks, Eric.
Yes, sir.
Anybody got any questions about anything you'd like to ask us?
Don't look at me.
Okay. Go ahead.
Okay. Wait a second.
Oh, yeah, I gave you Mike.
This is my first time coming to one of these meetings, and we don't know, like, who are all these guys, who these guys are all around the table. Maybe if they were introduced prior to the meeting starting, then we would be able to see what's going on faster.
We could,
if you want to know who they are.
we could make that happen.
I'm assuming that that's the detectives over there.
The well-dressed gentlemen are the detectives there. The guy in the short pants who looks like FWC, he's the assistant commander of the beach.
Okay.
So Molly Hudson does our legislative. So just stand up and take your time and introduce yourself real quick. There you go. And Brian, while you're there, not that the Barry is anything to do with the beach, but you might as well talk about what's going on the beach.
Plenty of their residents come over to the beach. So, quick update just on the beaches. We've fully transitioned to working the beach, doing all the law enforcement services on the beach, which was formerly done by Beach Safety. Beach Safety is just a lifeguarding agency now, so kind of equivalent to fire rescue, how it would work in traditional law enforcement districts throughout the county. And we're doing all the police work on the beach. We recently just received our United States Lifeguard Association certification so that all of our deputies can also be open water rescuers if there's a need to make an open water rescue and lifeguards are not on scene or are not present. Ironically enough, we're kind of learning that as we transition into the wintertime, the conditions on the beach deteriorate, and there's actually more water rescues in the wintertime than there probably, or at least a competitive amount of numbers for the busy summertime season. So, and we are experiencing terrible weather on the beach. The tide's been high for months, all the way, or the last month and a half anyway, all the way up to the seawall. Makes it limited beach openings and things of that nature, which is kind of congested. Anytime you get a real narrow beach, it gets very congested. And with that, we've contacted a lot of people and taken a lot of enforcement action. I don't know our exact numbers of the level of enforcement that we've taken since our taking over the beach, but we have to be upwards of 700 or 800 arrests since we've been over there. The guys are very active, very motivated, and we've been able to target areas that haven't been targeted in a long time. The parks, narcotics activity in the parks, warrants. We've also, everybody's been talking about technology. We've implemented different types of technology up and down the coast as far as cameras, tag readers, various things that we've had for a while now throughout the county. We've brought it all along the coastline, and it's benefited us greatly. So anyway, I'm Lieutenant Brian Cobb. I'm the Assistant Commander of the Beach. And Captain Kyle McDaniel is the commander of the beach services, and he's not here today, but you guys will meet him throughout the course of coming to these meetings.
You brought up a good point. Can you talk about, who can talk about the tag readers we're installing to close the loop in DeBarry?
I can, Sheriff.
Go ahead.
So I got an update. We have 3 more that are coming in. They're going to take over where Glen Abbey is for 2 of them. We're going to have all of the major arteries coming into DeBarry will be covered. The 3rd one's going to go at 1792 and the county line. We have one coming in. We don't have one going out. So we'll have one actually going out. So that was all approved by FDOT. The city has the permits for Glen Abbey. So that should be, I think, within a month or so, it should be installed. And FDOT is working on logistics to get the other one installed. So I'm thinking by the end of the year, we'll have all 3 installed.
Mr. City Manager?
Well, that's one of our strategic initiatives, was to make sure that we have cameras on every entrance that coming into DeBarry there. So if you think about coming in from outside of DeBarry to come into DeBarry to commit crime, we know who you are, and that's one of our major objectives.
Is there any way we can clone you and get you into some other cities? Because you guys are such a pleasure to work with to do these things.
I will tell you that I have been coming to council meetings long before I was elected, and I remember the initial request for the initial camera, and it was heavily debated with a lot of negatives. We don't see any studies that show that they have value. What about this? It's a lot of cost. And there was no support for the initial cameras that were installed in the first year or so of the request. There was one finally budgeted, and then we were surprised we had to pay ongoing maintenance fees. And then you look where we are now. The technology has proved itself, and there is was no resistance on the council that I am aware of the last time we had to finance 3 more cameras. It's a complete turnabout, but I think that we have seen repeatedly how valuable it is. Because we are just off I-4 on 1792, we're an easy in, easy out for people who are not from our neighborhoods. A lot of the things that we see in our crime stats are not done from people that live here. Occasionally there are, I'm not saying we have none, but it's people from Seminole and Orlando, Orange County, Lake County, zipping down the interstate, because if they can hit the interstate and get out of here, then they're gone by the time the deputy arrives, because somebody's figured out something is gone. But they may not realize that we are going to have every entrance and exit covered. And if we need to, we can probably see when you came in, when you left. And that has really helped.
The technology has emerged so much that we don't have to search by a tag number. They can put in it was a black car, and get the black cars that got off of the exit. So it's really good stuff. So Molly, you want to introduce yourself?
Good morning. I'm Molly Hudson. I'm a resident of DeBerry, so it's good to know. I am the Director of Legislative Affairs for the Sheriff's Office, so anything that has to do with legislation, any interests of the sheriff, anything he's interested in to push, I work with the delegates to make sure that it comes to fruition. So anything that the sheriff wants for the agency or for our community, he lets me know, and I work with the delegates in Tallahassee to make sure they come to. So I have a relationship with them for the sheriff. So thank you.
And a good relationship, I must say.
Yes, very good. Thank you.
Hey, good morning. I'm Lieutenant Ryan Mills. I'm the Assistant Commander in our District 4 office, which is over in Deltona. So. Yeah, short and sweet. Lieutenant Jason Paul, Assistant Commander over the Court Services. We cover all 3 courthouses. Court security operations include bailiffs, prisoner transport, and general court security. And we also cover extraditions when we go pick up the bad guys from out of state and then bring them back to where they need to see the judge and go to trial. And we also cover civil. The civil section does things from subpoena services to writs of protection, which is an eviction, even to replevins, which is kind of like a repossession. Yep.
Morning. My name is Lieutenant Christy Stirrup. I'm the Assistant Commander over Youth Services, which covers the Family Resource Center and our school resource deputies. And as to your question in reference to the weapons, we currently have confiscated 28. That's countywide. We're also implementing a new security system at our schools in reference to their security for weapon detection. That will be hopefully rolling out here in the next couple weeks.
I'm Detective John Frazzini. I'm a narcotics detective with the West Volusia Narcotics Task Force, and I am currently working cases in DeBerry and Orange City, so if there's any narcotics complaints, they come to me, and then I work them from there.
Good morning. I'm Captain Israel, the captain over Special Services. Special Services comprise of Air One, Motors, Aviation, and the drones and other entities or units. I'm also covering for Captain Maddox, who's out today, but he's District 2.
SWAT?
And also the SWAT commander.
How'd you forget that one?
Weak bones, beating them down.
Good morning. I'm Lieutenant Anthony Shank. I'm the Assistant Commander in Special Services, and he talked about pretty much everything that we have going on in Special Services.
Talk about the new Air One that's coming in.
We do have a new 407 GXI, which is the upgraded version of the helicopter we currently have. Supposed to be here early December. We'll be going to pick it up, bringing it down. We're excited for it. Some new technology, be able to fly in a little rougher weather. So looking forward to that, and we have our Marine unit. We'll be participating in parade over here in the St. John's coming up in December. So good things to come, and I am the commander of our hostage negotiations unit. I'm proud of it, unlike our SWAT guy.
Morning. I'm Lieutenant Joel Turney. I work in our District 3 area, which is the entire east side of the county. I'm the assistant commander for Southeast Volusia, District 3 South, which encompasses Daytona Beach, New Smyrna, Edgewater, and our contract city of Oak Hill.
Chad?
Sorry. No, we're going around this way. My name's Chad Weaver. I'm a sergeant in the Investigative Services section, and I oversee the Overdose Task Force.
I'm Sergeant Timothy Pullen. I am in ISS as well here in DeBerry, the DeBerry and Orange City District 6 area, also covering District 2 as well.
I'm Sergeant A.J. Pagliari. I am the East Side Detective Sergeant, so we cover from Flagler line down to Brevard.
Want to mention your special assignment?
I'm special because
in more ways than one.
Knew that was coming.
that's right. So I am the Assistant Bomb Squad Commander for the Volusia Sheriff's Office.
Well, Dave doesn't have any special assignments anymore, so.
Lieutenant Dave King. I'm the Assistant Commander of the Investigative Services Section. We cover all of General CID to include the Southwest Detectives Unit, which is here in DeBary. We also have Major Case, the Child Exploitation Unit, Career Criminal Unit, the newly formed Overdose Task Force, and some other sections as well.
Paul already introduced himself. AC?
Last but last, right?
Last but last.
Eric Westfall, I'm the Assistant Chief. I have a variety of assignments. The primary one is professional compliance, which includes CALEA, our national governing body, also internal affairs, fleet.
We're known as the cars. He is known as the car czar. So
I know more about cars today than I ever wanted to know, but and more recently, helping out covering our digital services section, which encompasses courts, extraditions, and civil. Thank you.
I had a question about cars.
Go ahead.
We were introduced to a vehicle, I believe it was the K9 actually, with all the fancier new equipment. Is that on the road, or do we have more of them? Where did that end up?
Yeah. Nobody asked him any questions ever.
Go ahead, Westfall. Let me hear it.
Yes, we have recently kind of going on the theme of implementing technology. We used to have kind of just basic lighting systems and so forth, and as technology emerges with those systems, we're starting to incorporate that into our vehicles. So years ago, the trend was to make the car as bright as you can and flash as much as you can. And over time, they realized that while that might be great in the daytime, that's not so great at night, and it actually imperils our officers on the street. So some of the things we've incorporated are systems that actually automatically recognize those different conditions and actually dim in certain times or in certain conditions to hopefully reduce the hazards to our people on the street.
So how many of those vehicles do we have out there right now? Is it just
we're
the
actually
one?
we're converting our entire fleet to that. Obviously, our old cars will have to kind of just phase out through attrition, but we're probably upwards of 100+ vehicles that we'll have coming out here in the near future, if we ever get them from our current suppliers, which, like anything else, it's very difficult. I'm still waiting from cars I ordered 2 years ago. So,
as I'm sure you guys are well aware, what used to cost us $35,000 for a patrol car is now double, and then you don't get it when you order it. So I can see Shari's back there giving me the high sign that, hey, we got the school and government coming in. So thank you all for attending, and if you have any questions, we'll be around for a little bit. Thank you, Shari.